Sup, my dudes, Valk here, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about why Adam should get nerfed, or why Adam needs to get nerfed. And even though I love Adam, I do want to talk about this because a lot of people don't like nerfs. It's like a negative connotation, but it's for the health of the game. So it's a good time to talk about, like, basically game design, game philosophy, and stuff like that. So I'm going to talk about Adam, and then I'm going to have a good little yap sesh about why I make decisions the way I make them, because keep in mind, although I am tester, I do have a good influence over the balance of the game, but I'm not the one that makes the final decisions. That's not my call. I just tell them what I think should happen, so I do have good influence over what happens in terms of balance. And what that means is I think it's a good idea to give you guys insight on how I think things should go and the way I try to push and pull for things. But keep in mind, like I said, I'm not the only one. I don't have the final say. I just have an influence over what happens. So basically, let's first talk about Adam. Why does Adam need to get nerfed? Two reasons. One, he can attack stack to the moon using multiple attack passes. Two, he limits future creativity in terms of passives. What I mean, if we're trying to come up as testers, or if the game creator is trying to come up with new passives, you always have to think about Adam. Because one thing Adam can do, and this feeds back into problem one that I gave with Adam, is Adam can go ahead and he can do raise attack into Hunter, and then he can do raise attack Hunter, get an insanely high attack stat in leaderboard runs, and then he can do Black Flames, apply Black Flames, and swap to another passive, because Black Flames is 450% cap of the attack, or he can go Rising Voltage and just do tons of damage as well as stun. So, both of them are very valid options for a leaderboard run. Those are definitely one of the ways you can get on leaderboard right now, and Adam is kind of crazy with it. Adam's a little way too strong with the ability to have Raise Attack and Hunter together. So another thing that occurs because of this, because you can have Raise Attack and Hunter, is this limits heavily what we can do in terms of future passives. Because in future passives, we might come up with a really cool idea for a passive, but we might have to like scale it back a little because Adam could abuse the hell out of it. So I think nerfing Adam is going to be ways to basically lock him. Ideally you want to lock him out of some passives. I think nerfing Adam is going to be a really good way to, just for the sake of game health, to allow us more creativity and freedoms and passives in the future, and not have to worry about this absolute Chad just ruining everything because we decided to add a funny passive. I think limiting what he can do and passives he can interact with are probably going to be the ideal way to go about it. And basically making it so it's not so game breaking, it's not something we always have to worry about. I think that's kind of what it is. I think Adam really does. I don't think it's that Adam's too strong. I think Adam needs to get nerfed for the sake of game health. Because eventually something's going to drop. There's going to be some passive that happens that Adam just ruins the complete game with. Like, look at Rising Voltage, look at Black Flames. Those two are really strong, but they're not game breaking. If they ever add a game-breaking passive and Adam is able to get his hands on it, then that's kind of GG at that point. So, yeah, that's kind of where I think about Adam. And now I want to talk about, like, game state, etc., game health, and what I push for, what I care about whenever it comes in terms of balancing this game. Because I've seen a lot of people going, like, Valk Stark's damage is too insane, da-da-da-da. But I'm going to be real with you guys. I think Stark is fine. I know Stark has insane damage after I showed my video yesterday, because there was this whole copy pasta inside the Discord, which you guys annoyed the hell out of the mods with. But I think Stark's insane damage is fine because of how niche it is. He, one, has to be on a map big enough to actually be able to utilize his massive 290 range with Flower Magician. Two, he also needs to be able to keep the enemy at distance with ambush because he loses value as the enemy gets closer. So yes, his damage is absolutely absurd whenever you're pairing him with ambush, but he has to be on a map, one, big enough, and two, at a distance that actually makes it useful. Now, the other thing is the fact that Stark is just a circle. Stark is a not small, but like medium-sized circle, and his summons do help a lot in clearing stuff out. But I feel like his level of power is fine because of how niche it is. Now, I could be wrong and it could be absolutely broken, but I don't think we're going to see Stark running leaderboard anytime soon. You probably can absolutely dominate a lot of the progressive modes and a lot of Abyss stages using Stark, which is fine because I feel like that's something that should be allowed, is a multitude of teams to allow to absolutely dumpster progressive modes. I think that's cool. but I don't think you're going to be using Stark really to like dominate leaderboard or anything like that. So I think he's perfectly fine. Strong, yes. Broken, debatable. And then we get into the spiritual sensitivity nerfs. Why is SS always getting hit? Why is SS getting nerfed like crazy? It's very simple. At the end of the day, in my opinion, the core gameplay loop of awtd is the complexity in which you can build a team. The category system and all that to tackle unique stages to help you go ahead and pretty much, you know, do different challenges. Like Abyss is a good example. Abyss a lot of times requires you playing around whatever the category buff is. In this time period, it's Mystic 4 size, and you got to play around the category buff, and you got to try to make as good a team as possible given the circumstances of the stage in direct competition or in direct correlation with the category buff. So here's where we get into where SS is an issue. SS kind of has answers for everything. SS does, there isn't really a weak point of spiritual sensitivity. It kind of can go into any content. You can make a team around the content that you're doing with SS, and you can kind of dumpster it. And that's a little bit of a problem in a game that's all about team building, right? So that's why SS has always been getting hit pretty hard. That's why I'm always a big advocate for SS nerfs, because I don't think there should ever be one category or one team that absolutely dumpsters the game. I don't think that that's a thing that should happen. I don't think there's going to be, or I don't think there should be ever a team that's just like your one-size-fit-all for every single mode of the game. I think teams should have weak sides. I don't think teams should be able to do, I don't think one team should be able to do metal, elemental, full-on abyss, flyers, etc. I don't think a team should be able to tackle every different unique challenge that the game has to offer. I think you should have to think, and I think you should have to make different teams depending on what you're up against. So that's why I've always been so hard on SS, because whenever SS was at its peak, whenever it's at its strongest, it was absolutely dumpstering everything. No exception. SS full-on beat every single floor of Abyss. It was the best Metal Rush team. It was good against Elementals because Sukuna. It was good against everything. And that was the issue. It wasn't the fact that Yuta's strong. It wasn't the fact that Sukuna's strong. It wasn't the fact that Grimmy's strong. It wasn't the fact that Mahoraga was broken. It wasn't any of those facts. It was a culmination of all of them put together. Makes it so this one team dumpsters everything in a game about team building and categories. It made it very, very silly and goofy, and it needed to go. And I think for the most part, it is. I think for the most part, it is almost gone. It's got some things that's still really good. It still has that are really, really good that basically allow it to kind of still fulfill this, but not nearly as good as it did before. So I think we're in the right direction with it. But yeah, that's kind of just to give you guys the idea, because once again, this is a thing about game health. How are you supposed to get excited for any new category, any new unit coming forward, if spiritual sensitivity is just absolutely the only thing you need to beat the game? Like, there's no point in having new units at that point. So stuff like that does need to go, and it's, like I said, it's another thing with Adam to where we get very limited in what we can do passive-wise simply because Adam has the potential to abuse it. So I think Adam isn't insane. He is good, don't get me wrong. I still think Adam's the best character in the game. But it's like Gilgamesh. I think Gilgamesh is the second best character in the game. Does Gilgamesh need any nerfs whatsoever? No, he's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with the character being strong. But Adam has a lot of potential to basically just really limit what we can do as far as a creative sense for the game. So I think he needs to get nerfed purely for the sake of game health. Because anything we want to do in the future, like I said, any passives that Peem, Galaxy, or Volo might come up with, any passives that we as the testers might come up with, anything like that, we always have to take Adam into consideration and how much is he going to break the game using this passive. So I think Adam does just need to get nerfed for the sake of game health. I still love Adam, don't get me wrong. I still think he's a super cool and unique unit. I just don't think he should have access to raise attack plus hunter or any passive of the sort that does a similar function to where he's able to raise his attack to a crazy degree and abuse certain passives that are capped because of abuse. So yeah, that's just where I am with everything. I just want to let you guys know about all this and basically give you guys a good bit of insight to how I think about things and how things are on the game side, like actually like trying to develop cool stuff, basically, where I'm not, like I said, I'm not developing. I just test and I just give them numbers, but on a developer sense, it can be troublesome to balance around these things. And then there's also the fact that how I think about the game. I don't think one team should ever dominate the whole game. Now, you guys are free to disagree with me. You guys are free to have different ideologies than me about the game. I think it's perfectly fine. But just let me know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.